Hey, so I know this is my first video, but of course this is a political channel here. Bad start, I know. Anyway, this is gonna be my 2022 Senate prediction. First, let's fill in all the safe states for either party. I do think South Carolina will be safe. Tim Scott, popular incumbent. Illinois, I guess. Alright. That's about it so far. First, that's for safe states. I'm not going to put Kansas as safe just because people say Jerry Moran is popular. He won in 2016 by, I think, 22 points, where Trump won by 20.7. I could be wrong, but I think that with Kansas shifting to the left, I don't think it'll be a safe margin. My again, 15 plus points. So now let's move on to the likely states. This is between a 5 and 15 point margin. Colorado, easily likely, and in fact, I think that's the only likely state I have for Democrats. Now for Republicans, Kansas, Iowa. Oh no, Iowa's safe. Iowa's safe. And Alaska. That's it. That's all I have for likely. Oh, I forgot to add I'm not entirely sure who's going to win the undecided races. I only have one for this one, but wait, no. Let's make it green. I like green better. I have, that's really it for likely states. For lean states, this is between 1 and 5. Nevada, actually this could be likely, but I'm gonna make it lean. Nevada, it's a Democratic leaning swing state. Catherine Cortez Masto, somewhat popular incumbent. I think that if Democrats really try, they could make this one likely, or if it's a year in their favor, it could be likely. But for now, sorry, my dog's barking. For now, I'm gonna say high lean. My next lean state is Georgia. Georgia's rapidly shifting to the left. I really think it will be lean D. It could be tilt, but it was lean in 2020. I mean, sure, it was an unpopular incumbent, very unpopular, but still, I think it'll be lean. Raphael Warnock having incumbency on his side this time. I think that Georgia will be lean D. My next lean D state is Pennsylvania. This is the first flip that I have. Many people have this as a flip. I think it will be John Fetterman versus Sean Parnell. Of course, for the close races, I'll be listing the matchups between two candidates. I think that sorry. I think that Pennsylvania, I think it'll be on the higher side of lean. I forgot to mention Georgia should be on the lower side of lean, maybe 1 to 2 points. I think this will be anywhere between 2 and 5. So, under a really good case for Democrats, it could be likely, but I heavily doubt it. I think it will be lean, almost no matter what. And now for the last lean D state, this one might surprise you, but North Carolina. So, if anything, it should be tilt. It could be tilt, actually. The only reason I have this as lean D is because I think it'll definitely be on the lower side of lean, maybe high tilt. But I personally think the matchup is going to be between Pat McCrory and Jeff Jackson. Again, I'm not using the betting odds website other than to see like what are the potential candidates, not who has the highest chance of winning the nomination. Because if Democrats probably know that Pat McCrory has a very low chance of winning a general election, so they could vote for him in a primary or something. I don't know what's going to happen, but this is just my guess. is that it'll be Pat McCrory versus Jeff Jackson. He's a very strong. Jeff Jackson's a pretty strong candidate. It's basically Cal Cunningham take away the scandal, and then Pat McCrory, the former governor of North Carolina, lost re-election in 2016 to Roy Cooper, and of course Roy Cooper, very strong candidate. He won re-election by I think 5 points in 2020, but that was still pretty good. Being that was still pretty bad for Pat McCrory, being the incumbent in a 3.7 Trump state the same year. I can't say that's pretty bad for the Republican Party. So I think that if he's the nominee, it will be lean D, maybe tilt, but I'm gonna say lean just for good measure. For lean Republican states, I have Ohio. I have Tim Ryan versus Josh Mandel. I don't really know anything about Josh Mandel, actually, but I know some things about Tim Ryan. Pretty strong candidate. If he wins, I'd be very surprised. I think it'll be mid to high lean, like 2 to 5 maybe. It could be likely if it's really favoring the Republican Party, but I do think it will be lean, as Tim Ryan's just a strong Democratic candidate, but I don't think strong enough to win in Ohio. And for my next lean state, I have Florida. I used to have this as likely because Marco Rubio is a popular incumbent, and the thing is, though, the reason I don't have it as lean, the reason I don't have it as likely anymore is because Val Demings is a very strong Democratic candidate who we all thought would run for governor for a while, but ended up deciding to challenge Rubio for Senate. We'll see what happens here. I do think that Marco Rubio is going to win by a high lean margin, 3 to 5%, somewhere in that area. I don't know. I could be wrong. It could be likely, but I think that Val Demings is a strong candidate. And wave years, Florida is not affected by wave years. Whoops, did not mean to click on that. And for my last lean Republican state, I have New Hampshire. This is, of course, if Chris Sununu runs. If he doesn't, then likely D, but if he does, then it's lean Republican. Maggie Hassan, pretty strong candidate, but Chris Sununu, the Republican governor of the state who's very popular. Of course, running for Senate and governor are very different things. Like, you could be a really popular Republican governor, and then you could run for Senate and not do nearly as well. But if you're a popular Republican governor in a Democrat state, they're probably not going to vote for you for Senate because Senate would have a much huger difference nationwide than governor, which would just have a statewide effect. And that's it for the lean states. Now, you might be surprised not to see Missouri yet. We'll see. And then lastly, I have Arizona as tilt, Wisconsin as tilt D. Arizona could be lean, actually, but I'm going to go with tilt just because there are some polls that say, like, D plus 14, D plus 11, but I heavily doubt that it'll even be that strong. Arizona, it's just like Georgia, really trending to the left, but not nearly as fast as Georgia. I think that Arizona will be high tilt, maybe low lean. I'm thinking tilt. I do think that Mark Kelly is going to be a pretty strong incumbent for the state. Of course, he won by more in the special election because 2020 was a Democratic favoring year, and of course, he won against a really unpopular, weak incumbent. So now, of course, the undecided race that Wisconsin. For Wisconsin, I have it as Sarah Godlewski versus, what's his name? Ron Johnson. I do think that this will be a very low tilt, and of all the races I've made up my mind on who's going to win, I think that this will be the closest one. Sarah Godlewski, very strong Democratic candidate, but we also saw Ron Johnson win by 3.4% in 2016. Of course, this was a Republican favoring year, and it wasn't against the best Democrat, but that's not even, that's still pretty impressive for Wisconsin. The same year it only voted for Trump by 0.8, I think. Yeah. I do think that this seat will flip blue just because of how right-wing Ron Johnson has started to become. I think that he could win by a tilt margin, but just for good measure, I'm going to have it as tilt D. And now for my undecided race, I have as Missouri. I honestly do not know what's about to happen here. If Eric Greitens is not the Republican nominee, it's safe R. But if he is, then I have no idea what's going to happen here. It really will just come down to the candidates. Of course, if I think that Lucas Kuntz would be a really good Democrat candidate for Missouri, and if he could definitely beat Eric Greitens. I don't see Quentin Lucas beating Eric Greitens in Missouri, and I don't really see anyone else. Lucas Kuntz, I mean, unless of course this would be a very unlikely outcome, but if Jason Kander decides to if he decides to run even after declining running, then this against Eric Greitens, this is lean, maybe even likely D, but for now I'm just going to have it as undecided. I have no idea what's going to happen here. It could be Republican, it could be Democrat. So yeah, 52-47-1. And after seeing the New Mexico special election, that actually is what really changed my mind about Kansas going from safe to likely, and Wisconsin go. I would have had it as tilty either way, honestly, but I'm more sure about it now. And Illinois would have been likely. Tammy Duckworth is not an incredibly popular incumbent. She's slightly disapproved of for the state's partisan lean, but it's still a pretty decent state for. It's a pretty strong state for Democrats. So, in terms of states where Democrats I have as winning. Okay, click twice, once, twice, once. So this is the map as in terms of which party I have winning, which party's favored in Missouri. I would say Republican for now, but I really have no idea what's going to happen. It's probably going to be the closest race this election. So, anyway, I thank you guys for watching. This is my current Senate prediction. Could update if we see new candidates jump into the mix, or if we see Chris Sununu deciding not to run, then New Hampshire's a Dem hold. Otherwise, yeah, thank you guys for watching. Peace out.